now I need to address something. Now, I spend a lot of time, I don't just listen to my station, I listen to a lot of radio stations around the country on a regular basis. The joys of streaming is that you can be in any location and stream stations from all around Australia and all around the world. So I caught on to a show the other day on a radio station based in WA, and a couple of people that I know were on the show. One was the host, we'll just call them the Rat, and the other was their special guest, who we often refer to here as the Disgusting Boil, also being referred to as the Pus-Filled Pimple. I'm starting to think that maybe they are a malignant tumour because they just won't go away. But they were talking about different things regarding children, and in particular, one such topic that came up was a bit of advice of people that share on social media photos of their children in the bath or in swimsuits or anything like that. And the concern is, of course, that people may steal these photos from the social media platforms and use them for nefarious purposes, for child exploitation. Now, this is great advice. It absolutely is great advice. I'd like to point out that I was actually talking about this sort of stuff back in the early days of the internet, and I was talking about this on radio even back then. This is before Facebook, this is before Twitter, this is before Instagram. This was when all we had was like instant messaging apps like ICQ and Yahoo and AOL. I was talking about this stuff then, and even advising people that I knew, parents that I knew at the time. I wasn't a parent at the time, and I was advising people about this stuff because it is very dangerous. It's a dangerous world out there on the internet, and children have to be protected. So on that score, I absolutely agree with the pimple or boil. But the problem is she was saying this to a radio host who in fact is guilty of the very thing that that she was describing. And the person I'm talking about, he's the owner of a certain WA radio station and online radio operation. Claims to be bigger than what he is, but that's neither here nor there. But the reason I bring this up is because he waxed lyrical and gushed and agreed with his guest about this whole thing about people exploiting images of children off social media platforms. The funny thing is, he himself is guilty of that. He did it back in January this year, around about the 6th of January, in fact, of this year, exploiting a child with an image of a child with a terminal illness that was the image was taken in a children's hospital, was posted by a family member of that child way back when, and this so-called professional media person stole that image and then posted it on their radio station page purely as part of a personal vendetta. Nothing more, nothing less. Then had the audacity a few days later in January this year to go on air with the same guest that they had on the other day to talk about the child's illness and how they were going to do what they could to talk about the illness, which of course never happened. The illness I'm referring to is Menkes disease. Now, I think you know where this is going, ladies and gentlemen. The child in question is my son, who would have been, 14 this year in August, but passed away at the age of 20 months. Now, this man claims to be all about protecting the community, all about protecting children, and has this guest on to talk about all this stuff. But he himself is guilty of exploitation. Maybe not in the same way, but let's call a spade, or a WANKA, a wanker.
Greg V's Lunchtime Live.
You can't shut me up and you won't shut me down.
On VFE Variety.